In today's video we are going to go over Dane's fish room and we'll go through the full process of fragging the coral, what it takes. We'll take a colony, we will cut it properly, and then we will glue it on those plugs and put it back in. So you'll get to witness the whole process from start to finish. And with that said, hey Dane, how are you?
Hi guys, welcome.
Alright, so Dane, give us a quick overview of your, probably like the dream fish room, and it's massive. What are the different sections, how often you are here, and how did you design it?
Well, I spend a lot of time down here because this is where everything's maintained. We've shut the water flow off to the sump, and the skimmer is removed right now for making it a little bit quieter. The filter socks make a little bit of noise. So basically the water comes from upstairs, it's fed into a box which then has a manifold on it. That manifold actually feeds over to the refugium. The refugium then comes back to the sump.
Mm-hmm.
The manifold actually also goes through the UV sterilizer there, then into that prop tank at the end. It overflows from that prop tank to this prop tank, then it overflows into this, which then is where the filter socks are, the sump, the calc reactor, carbon reactor, skimmer, and the heater.
Wow. So I really like what you did with the calcium reactor here with some custom lights, which is pretty cool.
I had a leftover light that I just wasn't using, so I stuck it under there to light it up. So the calcium reactor came from Peter's tank. I have some leftover other calcium reactors which are being used as just buffering chambers. Over here is where I do some of my dosing and testing. The Apex and the Trident are hooked up here, so it does the calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium. This is what I was dosing. So as you can see, November 29th to today is how much I had dosed already. This is like a 5-gallon drum sort of thing, right?
And that's in addition to your calcium reactor running full time.
That's correct. So that's now been turned off because now the calcium reactor can keep up since removing those other colonies. So we can take a look at some of the colonies that I've removed.
Sure.
There's one in here.
Oh my.
Right. There's a piece of one here. There is another, the larger part of it right here. I also took out the red dragon, put a smaller piece in. I took out the huge Confusa. I can give you pictures of that.
Yep. I
took out 2 other stags that you can see in the other videos also that came out and went to my buddy at Reef Wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
The leather coral came out also, right? Which I will then probably cut up at some point to make other frags. The Monty here, the Mystic Monty, I can do that today and make some frags of that.
So why don't we start with the Monty, the Mystic Monty here, and this acro as well.
Absolutely. Let's take that out, and then we'll get started. So with acros, I typically don't need to use gloves and that sort of thing. But if I'm doing any zoas, definitely more safety equipment because they're toxic. All right, but for this, we go over to the saw. Sorry about the noise it's going to make.
That's the proverbial Griffin saw,
Yep,
right?
The blade came off.
That's usually how it works. I've never actually seen the insides of it, so definitely happy to see it. All right.
So normally, if you're going to do a lot of cutting, you can put water in there from the tank to help keep everything wet. But just some quick cutting, I don't need to. Come on.
Still going, eh? That's fine. It's take 3. Perfect. So we've cut one strip and then broke it up into smaller squares, which is nice and convenient. The coral goes back in there, and then the frags are in the water. So this way there's less stress. And if you want to frag a different coral at the same time, would you not mix it in the same water?
No, different water, different frag, because there'll be some slime from the corals which could affect the other coral.
Nice.
So it's just placed on top of the glue which you saw me place on the frag plugs before. I just dry them a little bit, place it on.
Do your fingers hurt afterwards? Like, I mean, it's pretty abrasive, the salt and the glue and everything else. Like, I'm surprised you're not using gloves at all.
I am a tradesperson, so my hands are always very hard and rough to begin with. But it definitely does dry your hands out. I find that at night I have to use O'Keeffe's lotion to kind of fix my hands a little bit, because it is definitely rough on your hands.
So a little trick for trick of the trade for people. Yeah.
So that's it for the Monty.
That was fast. That was when everything is laid out perfectly, and interesting. You just threw the water back in because the system is so large. It's not going to care about any little slime that was released. So now we're taking the second colony.
Yep.
This is an acro. Now, for this guy, would you use the cutters? Walk us through the process of.
I do both ways, depending on how it's cut, right? So you look and you see where you're going to cut, right? You look for the frags that you want to take out of it, and to get it out, it won't fit in the saw, so I will physically just cut it, little frags out of it like this.
Yep.
Put this back. Now, a lot of times I look at the frags to see how they're positioned, right?
Yes.
So this one is actually cut quite nicely, so it will catch the light.
Yes.
Because this is the part that was colored up the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way it sits flat on there. So it's just a matter of placing it on there.
Another trick that I also use is always use a towel or a paper towel to remove that slime
now,
and wetness.
With the acros, it's a little bit harder because they don't set as quickly. So you got to literally hold it there, and I use this Instaset, which I got from Bulk Reef Supplies. Quick little spray, right, and it's set.
Wow.
Right. If I'm using a lot of it, then I do rinse it off before I put it in the tank. Okay. Now this one, if you notice, like when I put this in, it won't show as nicely. So I'm going to put it on the saw and cut it. Beauty of doing that now is that you get a nice flat spot for gluing.
Oh.
Right?
That's so flush.
It fits flush and it sits nicely. There's the other piece.
Yep.
Okay, this is fine also because it was a nice flush cut. You just put it there. And a quick little spray of the Instaset, and you're good to go.
Wow, so the whole thing took under 5 minutes, and so the nice thing about your fish room is everything is laid out easy for work, so it's easy to clean up. Your corals have minimum amount of stress, and this is the way anybody who does fragging would want to lay out their system. So again, for everybody who's watching, if you have any comments, questions, you want to learn more about Frag's system or anything else about Dane's system, so here's, for example, the Refugium. I really love the two different strains of macroalgae and two containers for them, so usually they would spin. So anything you have that you want to ask, please write in the comments below and we'll get to it in 2021. So Dane, that's a great way to finish this episode. Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us to your house.
Thanks again, guys.